Welcome, my Chinese chili loggers. How you doing today? We've got another BLoons Monkey City video for you guys. This one's a little bit more sped up than usual. You can probably tell already. We're going through this pretty darn speedy. So what's going on right now? Well, I wanted to play some more BLoons Monkey City, but I realized that I kind of ran into a slight issue. I don't have enough space to build all the things that I want to build. That's one issue that you're going to have a lot in BLoons Monkey City. You're going to run into a crap ton of times where you just don't have enough space to build all the things that you want. So, how do you fix this issue? Well, we start spamming some tiles. So, last night I actually spent about an hour just spam-a-ram-a-ding-dong and as many tiles as I possibly can, and I recorded them. And I decided, you know what? Let's make this into a video. Let me know if you guys are liking these videos at all. I know that some people like to watch the spamming, you know, if you want to see how to beat some tiles really quickly, this is a great way to come and just kind of check out some strategies, see what kind of things that I'm doing to make sure that I do a better job at my BLoons Monkey City open here. At this point, it takes just over a minute to end up beating a tile, which is surprising because it ends up being right around 5 minutes per tile. So if I'm not mistaken, I think we end up beating like 12 tiles today, which is kind of fun. It's just kind of a nice, fun number to have. It is... Did I say it's sped up 4 times already? I think I did. It's sped up at 4 times speed. Let me know if you guys think that this is the correct speed to run it at. I personally do like this speed. First of all, it's the fastest that my video rendering software can speed it up without using any extra like special techniques. So I don't know why they limited it at 4 times, but that's what they do. And personally, I don't mind it, but you know, let me know what you guys think. I could do it a little bit slower, but I feel like this is like, you know, if we play for a freaking hour up in here, obviously you guys don't want to watch an hour of me beating the easiest tiles that I can beat around my home city up in here. You guys want to see me play the harder tiles and talk about them, how to make up some strategies and everything. So that's why I decided to just spam these guys out and get them ready. Now today I've got a fun little topic to talk to you guys in addition to all the BLoons Monkey City action that we got going on over here. Also, if you haven't been able to tell, man, we've got a bunch of awesome towers up in here now. We've got 3rd tier ninjas, we've got 3rd tier dart monkeys, we've got 2nd tier snipers, and obviously we got a lot of boomerangs and dartling guns and stuff over here as well. So we're definitely kind of increasing our city pretty drastically up in here. But the topic that I want to talk about today is actually interesting pets. So first of all, I got to talk about just kind of the fact that I've had a lot of pets in my life. I'll admit that I haven't done the best job ever in taking care of them. I always tried my absolute best to take care of them, but I didn't always know what their needs were, and I feel like the people at the pet stores really didn't help me out as much as they probably should have. Especially as a kid. Like, there's a couple times that I got a lizard, and they were just like, oh, yep, you just get the lizard, you feed him crickets, and bam, you're good. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, this is awesome. I'll just put him in this little tank, pop some stuff down in here, I'll be super happy. And that's not exactly what happened. I ended up having most of my animals live probably only about 3/4, maybe a half of the life that they probably, or like the length of life that they probably should have. So anyways, now what I try and do as an adult, I make sure that I actually do the research before I end up getting any sort of animals, so I can make sure that I can give them the best life that they deserve. But in my growing up phase, in figuring out, like, so when I say that, you know, I was like killing my animals, I really tried my absolute best to make sure that they were happy. You know, I think one of my biggest issues when I was 10, I had a pregnant guppy. The guppy had babies, and then the babies had babies with other babies, then I had a big gigantic baby fest going on. I had a crap ton of guppies. I'd actually at one point over like 60 guppies. In a 10-gallon tank. It was not very big. I couldn't stop them from breeding. It was just like, what am I supposed to do, man? It's just a giant poop fest up in here. A bunch of them ended up dying, and eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give away the last few guppies that I have to one of my friends who also had a fish tank. And I realized later that I wasn't doing enough water changes, and I think it was just way too many guppies in the tank, and if I made the tank bigger, they just have more babies. It was just like, oh my god, what the heck do I do over there? I also had a firebelly toad, which I had for about 10 years, I think. But they're supposed to live for like 20 years, so I was sort of sad about that. I'm like, wow, I mean, I had this guy for a really long time. I thought he lived a really solid and an excellent life and everything, but I realized I didn't keep him as happy as I probably should have. Another thing that I realized is that I didn't have running water in there. All of my water was always sitting. I realize now as an adult that I'm like, Derp. That's what I should have freaking done. I should have had them in running water. But even at the pet store, they didn't have them in running water when I saw them. They actually had just a little tiny bowl of water to sit in. So that's what I thought I was supposed to do, you know? Again, pet store is sort of failing me over here, not giving me enough information on how to do this stuff. And back then, I didn't have the internet either. I gotta point that out. Everything that I knew was from either my parents or from the pet store. So I was trying to pick up as much stuff as I could to learn as much about these animals as I could. It just didn't really work out. And now that I have the internet at my disposal, it helps me so gosh darn much. Not only do I have like the Wikipedia page that I can go and just look up exactly how big they're going to be, how long they're supposed to live, and all the regular facts about them. I also have first-hand experience knowledge from a bunch of random people that post on the internet. It's kind of nice when you see just big forum pages about people's random experience with their stuff, and even showing pictures and how to take care of them and everything else along those lines. So I feel like, you know what, I think that's really, really nice with those people. I would like to do that as well. In fact, I wouldn't even mind starting some sort of animal-type YouTube channel at some point in my life. But the only animals that I've actually had, or pets that I've had in the past few years, has been my fish. I've always really liked taking care of fish. Started off with a betta fish named Kevin. We had Kevin, we had an albino frog, and we had a plecostomus, and those were the main three fish that we had for or even just animals that we had for a long time. And those guys lived for a really long time. The betta fish ended up living his full-on life. I was really happy about that. He lived almost 3.5 years. And you can tell he was getting really old, and eventually he just sort of succumbed at one point. He was just like, just gone. He died. It was sort of sad. The pleco lived for almost 10 years, which was kind of ridiculous, I thought. And then he ended up getting bloat or something like that and ended up dying. And I was kind of left with no fish for a while, and I was like, oh, this is really sad, man. So finally, I'm getting back into it, guys. I'm going to try and... Oh, and then the albino frog escaped and died on the ground. It was so sad. I thought I had all the stuff covered in the back, but it wasn't with... It was with like some regular, like, sort of just like plastic stuff, and he pushed through, he jumped through the plastic, knocked the plastic off, jumped out, ran around, and I was looking everywhere for him, alright? He ran, when I say ran, he was flopping around on the ground for a really freaking long time, and obviously I wasn't there when I saw this, though, and I was trying to figure out where the heck he went, so I looked everywhere, in every single crevice that I possibly could, and I recently found him a little while ago. He made it to the basement. He made it to the freaking basement all the way in the corner, and that's where he died and dried up, and it was really sad that I ended up finding his body like that. So, I was left without fish for a really long time, so I'm finally trying to get back into it, guys. I'm kind of excited to get back into it. Hopefully they end up doing a really solid job. I just started off with some sort of cheaper fish to make sure that I do a good job in keeping the fish. Eventually I want to end up getting some sort of planted tank where I do a really nice tank with a bunch of plants inside and just kind of like a nice design, maybe like a little bit of river rocks or something like that, and maybe a tiny bit of like driftwood or something like that, you know? That's what I want to end up doing. I feel like that's a very healthy tank. If you don't have to do water changes, it's especially awesome. Instead of having to do water changes, the plants soak up all the nitrogen, and then you just cut the plants and just throw that in the garbage whenever you're done with, whenever you have too much plantage going on, which I think is really freaking cool. So, that's what I got going on right now, but in my time in growing up, I always had a bunch of different random ideas on animals that I really wanted to keep. One of the weirder ones for me was I really wanted a crow at some point. For sure. Oh, craps, here we go, guys. We messed this up hardcore. I even popped on a bunch of random road spikes, and we still end up losing. So not only did I waste a crap ton of road spikes right there, I still couldn't survive. I was really angry about that. It was my fault for sure. I noobed it up. I was ready. I was actually ready and watching these guys. It just didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. And eventually we do end up taking that thing down, though. I used a freaking continue, I believe. I was just like, I'm done with this map, dude. I'm not doing it again without a continue. Screw the Bloonstones. I don't even care anymore. It's not like I'm going to need them later on, do I? Meh. But I really wanted a crow for some reason. I don't know why, but I thought I watched a couple of videos of crows on YouTube, and I thought that they were so gosh darn smart, so gosh darn cool. I thought it'd be really interesting to have one. So, of course, again, bam, freaking lead balloons coming out. 2 quick lead balloons. I used more road spikes. I'm like, screw it, man. I can't believe that I couldn't get those that lead popping power in time, and we had to use some road spikes just to kind of clean these guys up. But, of course, eventually we will end up cleaning them all up with some dart monkey, ninja, and sniper action right there. But I was even thinking about like how I was gonna build like a giant cage in my backyard for this crow and have him be able to fly around, and maybe he'll just even be like a free bird. He can go fly out wherever the heck he wants to go and come back and just say hello whenever he wants to. I thought that'd be even more cool. So that's one of the ones that I really wanted to have. Another one that I actually really wouldn't mind, though I'm almost talking myself out of it, is a fox. Now, it wouldn't be a regular fox, okay? This is the thing that gets really interesting. Regular foxes do not make good pets. They are, they're not really domesticated, right? They're still wild animals, and you really shouldn't just take in wild animals and try and keep them in as like a dog, you know? They're not going to be very easy to train. They're going to be sort of bad pets, you know? And then people get angry at them, and they're like, I don't want them anymore, and they put them up for adoption. So it's a bad idea to do stuff like that. But if you guys don't know about this, this is really freaking cool, all right? I should probably talk about this for like an entire video on an actual battles video, so people can hear about this, because I think this is cool. If you guys want to hear about this in more detail, feel free to let me know, and I would love to talk about it. There was an experiment done in Russia involving foxes, and what they tried to do is they tried to domesticate foxes. So the experiment that they were doing was over, I believe, at least 40-50 years or something like that. They started trying to domesticate foxes, and all they did was they took the nicest foxes, the foxes that would come up to people and smell their hands and not bite their hands, and they would breed them together. And then you got an even nicer little fox. And then you take the two nicest foxes again, you breed them, and you take the two nicest foxes again, you breed them, and bam, bam, bam. Freaking, not natural selection, but actually artificial selection right there at hand. And what they noticed is even after just a few generations, these foxes started to become much more puppy-like. They started to have curly tails, they were really nice, they had floppier ears than usual. They were, and I say puppy-like because the way it works in sort of an interesting way is that the genes are already kind of there to become playful and nice, you know? They're already there because they like to be playful and nice when they're very young. When they're little, I don't know what the term for a baby fox is, but we're just going to call them kids because that just sounds right. But, or baby fox, whatever. The baby foxes, are already trying to be very playful and nice and everything like that. So, all you got to do is you got to keep those genes, but express them not just when they're a little baby fox, but when they're an adult as well. So it seems like it's a little bit easier to kind of select for those genes being expressed a lot longer in their life than just when they're an adult. So anyways, they actually have to do something with these foxes. They can't just keep them in cages their entire life, obviously. So they start to sell some of these foxes as well, and that also helps to pay for them. So that would be the coolest thing ever, to have a pet domesticated fox. They're like an in-between of a dog-cat. That's probably the best way I can put it. Foxes really are like dog cats. They make weird noises like little cats. They sort of play in between like a dog cat. You know, they're energetic like a dog. You could take them on a walk if you want to. I just think they're so gosh darn cool, and I would love to have a fox. Only issue is sometimes they don't go all that well with other animals. You know, sometimes they can still be a little bit territorial or something like that, and you have to have a lot of room for them to run around and play and everything. Otherwise, they're going to be sort of mean. You know, they don't like being cooped up, just like dogs don't like being cooped up. So, you know, I'd for sure have to put a lot of time and effort into taking care of this fox, but I totally would be down to do that. That's one of the only animals that I still to this day am like, if I ever get a lot of money, if I become rich, I probably will get a fox, guys. And I will not be getting just a regular natural fox that you'd find out in the wild. I'd get one of these domesticated foxes, because they do sell them, but there's some sort of weird issues going on with the whole sending them from Russia to the United States, and then, you know, having to go through customs, and then actually getting your fox and making sure you take care of it by getting the right rabies vaccinations and all this other random junk. So, that's on my list of things to do. There are some other random animals that I sort of wanted to keep over throughout the years, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing any other sort of other animals. I think that if I do anything, it's probably going to be a fox and or just some other sort of smaller critters. Like, you guys know that I do have hamsters right now. That's not really my hamsters. Those are more of my girlfriend's hamsters, and I end up taking care of my girlfriend's hamsters. I don't know why she even wanted them. She's like, oh, they're so gosh darn cute. They're so amazing. She probably looks at them maybe once every 2 weeks. It's kind of a joke. So, I was almost going to say I'm going to stop right here, but I'm like, you know what? We haven't made it to an hour yet. We haven't made it to a full hour of BLoons Monkey Citying. So we need to make sure we finish this. Now, I'm also curious, what do you guys think, man? Is there any cool animals that you really want to take care of? And are you going to make sure that you actually take care of them very, very well if you do? I know that some people like, you know, the weirder, like, primates and stuff like that, like even like baby monkey or something like that. I think they're really interesting, but I just never would be able to take care of that. But here we go. We're coming up to the end of our video right here. Obviously, if you guys enjoyed, press that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and of course, have a super duper delicious day.